All right, guys. So Mitch McConnell has predictably backstabbed President Trump. And the reason why I say predictably is because if you guys have been watching my channel and paying attention to what I've been saying, I've said this time and time and time again. The political spectrum in the United States is currently the progressive left, the establishment left, the establishment right, and the populist right. And the reason why I have to keep reiterating this is because, one, it's just true. Two, it is the only way things make sense in terms of what you're seeing going on. I'm telling you, right? And this is why in every single last one of my videos, I always analyze politics with this political spectrum in mind. And when you understand this political spectrum, this is no surprise. The Republicans, the establishment Republicans, are not in line with the president. That is just plain and clear. The best analogy I can give you guys in terms of the relationship between President Trump and Mitch McConnell, which I think is true, is, I don't know if you guys have ever seen the show Naruto. I used to be big in anime back in the day, but Mitch McConnell is Danzo, right? And President Trump is the Hokage, right? The Hokage is the leader of the village, right? That everybody sees, right? He's making the decisions. But Danzo, who was the leader of the Ambu Black Ops, actually was running the village in the background. At least that's who McConnell thinks he is. So what is happening right now is that Mitch McConnell has basically been neutral for a long time, and he's waited until he thought it was politically expedient to come out and congratulate Joe Biden and Kamala Harris on winning the presidency. That's what he's doing now, because the establishment GOP is ready to distance themselves from President Trump. But before we get in that, my name is Greg Foreman, and you're watching A Black Conservative Perspective. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share A Black Conservative Perspective, aka a leftist worst nightmare. You can also follow me on Twitter at GForemanBCP. Let's get it. All right, guys. So like I said, Mitch McConnell has backstabbed the president, unfortunately, which probably is not a great political move in my opinion, but he did. So let's take a look at his comments today at a Senate meeting in which he congratulated Joe Biden and Kamala Harris.
So today I want to congratulate President-elect Joe Biden. The President-elect is no stranger to the Senate. He's devoted himself to public service for many years. I also want to congratulate the Vice President-elect, our colleague from California, Senator Harris. Beyond our differences, all Americans can take pride that our nation has a female Vice President-elect for the very first time. I look forward to finishing out the next 36 days strong with President Trump. Our nation needs us to add another bipartisan chapter to this record of achievement.
All right, guys, so you heard it there, right? Mitch McConnell came out and congratulated Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Now, predictably, the populist right is not happy about this, and rightfully so. And the reason why is because they want these elected officials to stand up for the president, okay? They want them to ride the wave because the Democrats never accepted the presidency of Donald Trump. From the get-go, they said that President Trump was illegitimate, right? And because of that, it is understandable why a lot of us feel the way we do about a potential Joe Biden presidency. Now, this is also following some other establishment Republicans like Congressman Paul Mitchell coming out and saying that he's leaving the Republican Party over efforts by President Trump and many Republicans to overturn the election, that they say that Trump lost 306 to 232 electoral votes. And Mitchell writes he fears for the long-term harm to our democracy. Now, I actually read the letter that he said, and he thinks that because of what Trump is doing, he doesn't agree with it, even though he has voted, I think he said 95% of the time with the president. He just doesn't agree with it. That's why he's leaving. And guys, like I said, this has created a clear divide. And you can go back to my videos where I was one of the first people talking about what could possibly happen in Georgia in terms of how this could possibly divide the GOP, right? I was one of the first people talking about the plot to not vote in the Senate race in Georgia, right? I feel like I was pretty much ahead on a lot of stuff because, again, once you understand that political spectrum, this stuff becomes a lot easier to analyze and understand. Now, Lynn Wood has come out, who is aligned with the populist right, and said Mitch McConnell is not a patriot. Ask his wife. She knows. I wonder what he actually means by that. But McConnell just wants power, influence, and money. He is willing to sell America to get what he wants. McConnell is a traitor to American patriots. His day of judgment is coming. Now, this is after President Trump, who has also come after the establishment, calling out Brian Kemp and Doug Ducey in Arizona, basically saying, who is a worse governor, Brian Kemp of Georgia or Doug Ducey of Arizona? These are two rhino Republicans who fought against me and the Republican Party harder than any Democrat. They allowed states that I won easily to be stolen. Never forget, vote them out of office. And President Trump also retweeted Lynn Wood, basically calling for Brian Kemp and the Secretary of State of Georgia, Brad Raffensperger, to be jailed. President Trump is genuinely a good man. He does not really like to fire people. I bet he dislikes putting people in jail, especially quote unquote Republicans. He gave Brian Kemp and the Secretary of State of Georgia every chance to get it right. They refused. They will soon be going to jail. Again, guys, President Trump retweeted this, and I don't know what else signals that President Trump is not happy right now with the establishment than this and what is going on currently right now. And to be quite honest with you guys, if there's one thing that I would pay probably an unlimited amount of money for right now, is to hear the behind the scenes conversations between Mitch McConnell and President Trump right now. I really would love to hear it. I mean, that would be grade A TV and entertainment for me, because I just know that these guys are not aligned politically. I just know it. Let's listen to the Stop the Steal coalition that has basically been trying to fight for President Trump in terms of their response to Mitch McConnell's comments.
They'll each be addressing you today. But before we do, I want to go ahead and say our press conference was preempted this morning by a speech from the GOP Majority Leader Mitch McConnell. I want to read a little bit about what he said, since his comments are going viral. Let's let ours. 6 weeks ago, Americans voted in this year's general election. The legal and constitutional process has continued to play out since then. Yesterday, electors met in all 50 states so that this morning our country has officially a president-elect and a vice president-elect. Many of us had hoped that the presidential election would yield a different result, but our system of government has processes to determine who will be sworn in January 20th. The Electoral College has spoken. So today, he went on, he wanted to congratulate, and he called him President-elect Joe Biden. My comments are simple. Majority Leader, the constitutional process has not been exhausted. We have January 6th. In fact, you play a role in that. And we know that there's going to be a debate of the two chambers. And so I would like for the GOP senators to join Congressman Mo Brooks. We're here to break news that we're doing our own whip count. We have 7 members of the House in the Republican caucus that are willing to stand with Mo Brooks so far. They are currently circulating a letter. We are targeting over 100 of them that signed on to the amicus brief in the Texas case. We think that this president is going to have 100 members in the House objecting to the House certification on January 6th. So what we're looking for, and why we're doing this press conference today, is we are calling on the majority, the GOP Senate majority, which we hope that they keep through these 2 Georgia Senate races. We are calling on at least 1 senator to join them. So a lot of people are asking, what is phase 2? What is phase 3 of Stop the Steal in your coalition? You have millions of supporters. This is it. We are going to target the GOP senators, and we will primary the ones that don't stand with us, and we will celebrate the ones that do stand with the voters. Again, we want to exhaust all constitutional options, because this is about voting rights. This is about civil rights. If we are to believe that we are self-governing people, it's also about natural rights. A couple other senators that we definitely got to point out some awful things that they said. yesterday, Senator John Thune said, it's an opportunity for people to vent and protest, but in the end, we have a clear way of determining our president. Again, is Senator Thune not familiar with the process? The House and the Senate must certify the Electoral College. If not, Joe Biden doesn't have to participate in that process. We kept hearing that Joe Biden was president before the gathering on Monday. Then why did he participate in the contest on Monday? We are being gaslit. This is a psychological operation on the American people, and patriots are standing up to say, enough of this. John Cornyn, my senator, pointed out that Barbara Boxer carried the objection in 2004 of the Ohio delegation. Again, this isn't actually new. This isn't new. 1876. There were 3 states that sent dueling electors. 1960, there was one state, the state of Hawaii, that sent dueling electors. In 2000, there's still that viral video where Al Gore is embarrassed because not one senator will carry the objections of the Congressional Black Caucus, which objected to the certification of the Electoral College. And in 2004, Senator Barbara Boxer said that they shouldn't seat the Ohio delegates. This is not new. We want all constitutional remedies, all constitutional options to be exhausted. And why? So that people can have faith in the electoral process, so that people do not drop out of the electoral process. We have a runoff election in Georgia that is going to determine which way this country goes, whether we have a balance of power in Washington or whether or not AOC is the whip for both of those chambers. We want people to stay engaged in this process, which means that the Republicans must fight the media. We must fight the Democrats. We must exhaust all options, not just in the courts, but we must call on state legislators to meet. Hopefully governors will join us. Hopefully secretaries of state will join us. The United States Constitution reserves this right to the state legislators.
All right, guys. So basically what he's talking about is something that I've already talked about. And again, guys, I have to plug myself here because the more this stuff happens, the more I'm like, I've already talked about this. I've already explained this to my audience. Guys, if you're watching my channel, you're politically educated, right? Like, I talked about the process of Congress basically having the option to reject the Electoral College votes. And this is something that I didn't even know about until I looked it up. And it's something that a lot of people don't know about. The Electoral College is not necessarily the end. On Congress, Mike Pence, who is the president of the Senate, goes out and says, all right, he reads the Electoral College votes and they can say yay or nay, right? Most of the time they say yay and they agree, but Congress can reject Electoral College votes. And if they reject enough votes successfully, then Joe Biden doesn't reach the 270 that he needs to win. And if he doesn't, then the presidential election comes down to the House delegations, in which right now the projected advantage is Republicans with 26 votes. That is the end game right now that it seems that the Trump Stop and Steal coalition is gunning for, right? Now, from a political analysis standpoint, in reference to McConnell's comments, personally, I don't think that this is a good political move for him. And the reason why, because it is obvious from the polling, right? From everything that we see on social media, the party is the party of Trump. The GOP is the party of Trump. And Mitch McConnell obviously does not believe that. He believes that he is the leader of the Republican Party. And this is why he's basically backstabbed Trump. But what he needs to understand is that the reason why President Trump was elected in the first place is because people don't necessarily like the establishment. And if they had to choose between Mitch McConnell and President Trump, which is what it looks like is going to come down to if they continue down this path, if they don't just chill and wait it out, let's see what happens, they may end up fracturing the party in the sense that they might alienate a ton of people who are hardcore supporters of the president. And the more they say, the more they come out against the president, it's not going to be a good look. And the reason why is because, again, I've said this as well. You know, quote me now, thank me later. I'm telling you, Trump's fundraising activities after this election has been astronomical. I mean, I think the last number I read, he raised over $200 million. That is peak campaign numbers. Okay. Now, with that money, he's not just trying to fight the election. He also can use that money to fund any political activities going forward in the future, whether it's for himself or a candidate that he supports. I do believe that in a worst case scenario, I'm not saying Trump's not trying to win. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, in a worst case scenario, if Biden takes office, President Trump is not going to be done. I think that he is going to try to make a 2024 run. He will be able to do that. And the thing is that with that in mind, again, this is not an easy out for the establishment GOP. It's just not, right? Like, if you choose not to align with Trump, what happens is that this man actually does have the power to primary a lot of these establishment Republicans. I mean, he's already trying to do that with Brian Kemp and Ducey in Arizona. And also they're risking alienating the Trump supporters in Georgia who still have to go and vote in the Senate runoff race. And again, if the establishment continues to alienate, what could happen is that they may not vote at all. We've already seen a strong indication of that type of sentiment coming from Lynn Wood and others who have basically rallied around this idea of F the establishment. So this game that Mitch McConnell's playing, he is a master politician. I can't lie to you, right? Him and Nancy Pelosi are up there, right? In terms of how to be a politician 101. I'm not sure if he can politician his way through this because Trump is a force that they've never seen before. And if they come after him in the way they're doing it, I'm not so sure if this is going to end up well for the GOP because it is the party of Trump. And I think that most people would take Trump over the GOP. But that's just my opinion on that. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.